dystopian Orwellian thought crimes, are we free to think what we want? Michael Snyder reports, if we're not free to think what we want, we do not have a free society. It really is that simple. Unfortunately, there's now an overwhelming consensus among elitists in the Western world that radical measures must be instituted to control what people think. If you insist on being a rebel, there is a very good chance that you will be punished for holding unorthodox views. You won't necessarily be put in prison, but our system has countless other ways that it can punish you. For example, those that insist on embracing unacceptable thoughts will find that their career choices are quite limited, and there are certain positions that they will be prohibited from ever holding under any circumstances. Not only that, but if your thoughts are offensive enough, you may have a financial account suddenly shut down or credit denied for seemingly no reason. This sort of thing was unheard of a decade ago, but now it is happening all of the time. Of course, you can forget about having any sort of a substantial social media presence if your thoughts do not conform to current social norms. Even the free speech platforms are banning and shadow banning countless accounts every single day. If any of the things that I've just described have happened to you, that's probably because you are a thought criminal, quote unquote. So you are not supposed to contradict the conditioning that you have received from our educational system, from the news media, from our politicians, and from the corporate entertainment that you are being fed for hours each day. When you deviate from socially acceptable viewpoints, you're guilty of quote unquote thought crime. That is how thought crime is defined by Wikipedia. And this is what they say. Thought crime is a word coined by George Orwell in his 1949 dystopian novel 1984. It describes a person's politically unorthodox thought, such as beliefs and doubts that contradict the tenets of INGSOC, English socialism, the dominant ideology of Oceania. In the official language of Newspeak, the word crime think describes the intellectual actions of a person who entertains and holds politically unacceptable thoughts. Thus, the government of the party controls the speech, the actions, and the thoughts of the citizens of Oceania. So sadly, we truly have become an Orwellian society, quote unquote, at this point. In fact, a woman in the UK was just arrested for thoughts that she was thinking within her own mind. The UK March for Life director was recently arrested after police found her praying silently outside of an abortion clinic, according to a press release by Alliance Defending Freedom UK. Isabella Vaughan Spruce, a charity volunteer and Christian, was approached by police officers outside of BPAS Robert Clinic in Birmingham, England, and she was asked if she was praying, according to ADF press release. Vaughan Spruce told the officers she, quote, might be praying silently, end quote, that is, in her mind, and was later arrested for doing so. Quote, it's abhorrently wrong that I was searched, arrested, interrogated by police, and charged simply for praying in the privacy of my own mind, end quote. Vaughan Spruce stated in the release. She said nobody should be criminalized for thinking and for praying in a public space in the UK. Once she was taken into the station, you would think that those in charge would realize that a huge mistake had just been made, but instead of releasing her, she was ruthlessly interrogated. Apparently, they were absolutely determined to discover whatever evil thoughts that this vicious thought criminal had been thinking. And apparently they found something, because now she has been charged on 4 counts. She insists that she is not a criminal, but she does not understand that the world has changed. Anyone that thinks unauthorized thoughts is now a criminal in this system. And at this moment, there are countless intelligence agents all over the Western world that are scouring social media sites for more thought criminals. Thanks to the release of the Twitter files, we now know that the FBI has spent an enormous amount of time, effort, and energy looking for unauthorized thoughts on our largest social media platforms. And when the FBI found unauthorized thoughts on Twitter, requests were made to ban specific accounts, and this represented a gross violation of the U.S. First Amendment rights, and apparently it kept happening over and over again. The FBI was confronted about this, and this is how they responded. Quote, "The correspondence between the FBI and Twitter show nothing more than examples of our tradition, long-standing and ongoing federal government and private sector engagements, which involve numerous companies over multiple sectors and industries. As evidenced in the correspondence, the FBI provides critical information to the private sector in an effort to allow them to protect themselves and their customers. And men and women of the FBI work every day to protect the American public. It is unfortunate that conspiracy theorists and others are feeding the American public misinformation with the sole purpose of attempting to discredit the agency," end quote. And it has also come out that the FBI has been paying Twitter and other social media companies millions of dollars for some reason. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is declining to specify what other social media companies the federal agencies gave money to after Fox News confirmed that it paid Twitter nearly $3.5 million. The FBI officials told Fox News that the nearly $3.5 million payment to Twitter was a reimbursement, quote unquote, for the reasonable costs and expenses associated with the response to a legal process for complying with the legal requests and the standard procedure. The FBI officials also said that Twitter is not the only social media company that is being paid by the federal agency, telling Fox News, we don't just reimburse Twitter. What exactly was that money for? The public deserves to know. The new Twitter CEO, Elon Musk, recently stated that, quote, "Almost every conspiracy theory that people had about Twitter turned out to be true," end quote. And reading that should just chill you to the core. Of course, many other big tech companies have also been colluding with the government to suppress free speech, and one recent survey found that the vast majority of Americans want answers. A recent poll shows that 63% of Americans want Congress to investigate whether the FBI was involved in censoring information on social media sites. The Twitter files disclosure shows that not only did Twitter collude with the FBI, it also worked with other government agencies like the CIA and the Pentagon to suppress information. Musk said in a post on December 27 that every, quote-unquote, social media company is engaged in heavy censorship with significant involvement of, and at times explicit direction of, the government. As time rolls along, those that choose not to conform to social norms, quote-unquote, will be increasingly pushed to the outer fringes of society. If you continue to choose to be an independent thinker, quote-unquote, getting a good job, quote-unquote, will be exceedingly difficult. Just think about it. Right now, how many of the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies are independent thinkers that have unacceptable belief systems? If you want to rise in the pyramidal structure of our society, you have got to believe what the system tells you to believe. Of course, if all the independent thought is eliminated, our society will become the sort of dystopian nightmare that the authors such as George Orwell and myself, the writer, says Michael Schneider, have been warning about for a very long time. Even though I do not much like of what my fellow Americans have to say, I vigorously defend the right to say those things. Freedom of thought and freedom of speech are non-negotiable, and our system of government simply will not work without them. This is from Michael Schneider. He says, it's finally here. Michael's new book titled End Times is now available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. About the author, my name is Michael, and my brand new book entitled End Times is now available on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I've written 6 other books that are available on Amazon, including 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, commissions earned. When you purchase any of my books, you help to support the work that I'm doing, and one way that you can really help is by sending copies as gifts to family and friends. Time is short, and I need help getting these warnings into the hands of as many people as possible. I've published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and The Most Important News. And the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other prominent websites all over the globe. I always freely and happily allow others to republish my articles on their own websites, but I also ask that they include this about the author section. With each article, the material contained in this article is for general information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before making any legal, business, financial, or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, and any way that you can share these articles with others is definitely great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, I strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. And this is by Michael Snyder on The End of the American Dream. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box.